Hi everyone, Jake here for FMSCOUT and welcome to today's video where we're going to be rebuilding Everton in FM22 but with a bit of a twist. Obviously there's a fair few channels in the Football Manager space that do rebuild videos, however much like when we did the Chelsea rebuild video, we were looking to do things with a bit of a twist here on FMSCOUT. In the Chelsea rebuild video we did homegrown only players from Chelsea's youth academy, which with the academy that Chelsea had actually turned out to be very successful, but this time it's going to be a little bit harder with Everton, whose academy is still very good, but the current prospects that they've got in that academy and in the first team maybe aren't as good, to put it quite simply, not as good as Chelsea's, but we're going to try and do the best we can. A 5-year rebuild with Everton. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoy, comment down below what team you'd like to see done next, or any comment in general, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And one final thing, bear with us just before we get in the video, we do have another sponsor on today's video, which is awesome, and that sponsor is the one that's been with us for a few videos in Spitch. So I'll just tell you a quick bit about them before we get on to the rebuild. Spitch is a fantasy football app for people in the UK and Ireland over the age of 18 where you can win prizes purely based on your fantasy football skill. There's both free competitions and paid for competitions, all of which have their own unique prizes that you guys can win. It's great fun and it's super easy to use. All you need to do is download the link in the description, which will take you to the app. From there, you'll have to register. You might have to show your ID to prove you're over the age of 18. Then you're going to be able to pick your team, as I'm hopefully doing on screen right now if I've planned this out right. You can pick your captain for bonus points, and there's also statistical analysis in Spitch to help you pick your team, and then you're good to go to compete against other fantasy football players. So you can check that out in the link in the description. We'd greatly appreciate it here at FMSCOUT, and hopefully you'll have some fun playing it as well. So thank you Spitch for sponsoring the video, but let's get back to Everton. And as you can see in the corner here, we've got rid of any player who isn't homegrown, and we've moved them to different clubs. Most of them I've just released. Any players that held some kind of decent valuation at least, I've moved them to random clubs, assigned us a little bit of value, just so the club's got some money in the bank to maybe over time improve their youth facilities, keep their youth recruitment at a high level, because realistically, in this simulation, we could drop down a couple of divisions. I've seen the players Everton have got, and it's not great. Now, unlike the Chelsea video, because their team was going to be very minimal with just first team players who were homegrown at club, I think there was like 4 or 5 in the whole of the 25-man squad, plus the development centre had maybe 1 or 2 players who were ready for the first team. It wasn't going to go well. It was just going to be years and years of us getting relegated. So what we've decided on this one is it's still going to be homegrown, but it's going to be homegrown in nation, but we're not signing anyone. So what I mean by this is your Dele Allis, your Townsends, your Grays, your Calvert-Lewins, who aren't homegrown at Everton, but in their information will be homegrown in nation. We're allowed to use these in this simulation, but the hope is over time, as the youth players develop in the development centre, whether that be existing players or youth intake players, the hope is that they can come into the first team. We can replace these homegrown in-nation players and not give them new contracts. So as long as we have players coming through, you should see the likes of Townsend, of Damari Gray, Fabian Delph, their contracts should expire and the youth players should take over. So hopefully you don't mind us doing that. At the end of the day, who's going to care? It's a Football Manager rebuild video. There isn't really rules to this, we're just going to have some fun with it, but this is what we're going for. No signings, we've just got to see how this team might do. Everton in real life, of course, are struggling in a relegation battle. At the time of recording, they've just beat Manchester United, so maybe there's some hope for them there, but it seems one of them, or Burnley, is destined to go down. And I think it's the problem of Everton has been their recruitment over the last few years. A lot of poor transfers, a lot of poor planning. Just when it looked like things were on the up a couple of years ago, we've entered a transfer window this year, and it's nothing against players like Andros Townsend and Damari Gray, but are they really the quality of player that Everton needed? I'm sure there's financial issues that were stopping them from doing anything special, but it just seems strange. And then to add to it, they signed Dele Alli, who, don't get me wrong, is a decent player, but if we look at the transfers and the clauses, whilst the deal was technically free, every time he plays 20 games, we've got to pay £10 million. So the chances are in this simulation, Dele Alli is going to cost us 40 million quid, which is a lot of money. I know he's still only 25 and is a good player, but I mean, it's just not good planning financially, I don't think. This, by the way, is how short our squad is now we've got rid of everyone. Moise Kean isn't actually at the club, don't worry. He's already got an agreement to leave, and once his loan is up at that club and the agreement goes through, we won't see him anymore. But in terms of potential, we've got Jared Branthwaite, who is actually an academy product. He is a top draw centre-back in Football Manager and looks like he could be a big player for us. The problem is, though, because of the options we've got at centre-back and the limitations we have at left-back, I think we're going to see him playing left back a lot, and he's not really the world's best left back. But who knows, maybe we'll get a good one come through in the youth intake and we won't have to use Branthwaite. Other homegrown at-club players that we have are Tom Davies. Anthony Gordon is a player with a lot of potential who looks pretty good in real life too at the minute. He's someone that I'm hoping will do something for us. I think John Joe Kenny was the other player that we had that was homegrown at club, so you can see why there was a bit of an issue in terms of having enough players to actually have a team in this first Premier League season. But if we do look at where we're predicted, based on the media prediction, after we've got rid of everyone, it's not looking good. We're predicted to finish in a relegation spot in 18th. Classed as having a worse team than Brentford and Burnley, it's not looking too good for us here at Everton, but who knows, if we can stay up, maybe just stay as a Premier League team over the course of the 5 years, I think we'll take that. Hopefully the academy that Everton has will help us out a lot because they do have a good set of facilities. It will hopefully mean the youth intakes will be good. But who knows, we don't know how this is going to go. Let's simulate to the end of our first season to see how we've got on. So this is actually super surprising. We finished in 8th in our first season. Before we take a little bit of a deep dive into that, I'd like to let you guys know I do have my own channel linked in the description. We have some one-off rebuilds and a Wolfsburg save that we've just finished. So there's new stuff coming very soon on the channel. If you want to head over there, subscribe, check it out. I greatly appreciate it. If you look on that channel as well, you'll also see an Everton rebuild that we did a few months ago where you can actually make transfers in that one. So I actually signed players and rebuilt the club, and that went very successfully, I would say. And this has been a successful season in its own right. 38 games played, 55 points, not the world's most amazing total. And in a lot of seasons, I don't think 55 points would get you a nice 8th place finish. But we have finished above Tottenham, Leicester, Liverpool, however, our rivals have gone on to win the league and we are nowhere near their points total. But it's nice to see, at the very least, that we've stayed up and stayed up by a pretty big chunk. So well done to us. That's actually qualified us for the Europa Conference League, which I'm sure we will take. West Ham getting in the Champions League as well. Did they win the Europa League then? Is that what they did? That would be very impressive if they did. They did. They won the Europa League. Fair play to West Ham. But back to Everton. The cup competitions didn't go amazingly well, but the league we've done fine in, and European football, I suppose, is good if we have a look at our overall form. It hasn't been the best. Tactically, we've just been running a 4-2-3-1 gegenpress preset tactic. We've just moved a few roles around and nothing else special. I'm not going to use a game-breaking tactic to make us win. This is genuinely the preset with a couple of roles shifted. Central midfielders on attack and advance forwards instead of pressing forwards is what we've gone for. But who has performed well for us this year? Who have been our saviours in this tough season? Calvert-Lewin has gone down as our best player this year with 20 goals in 37 games. We've got Godfrey, Holgate, Pickford, Keane. They've been some of our best players this year. A development centre player that we bought through in Lewis Dobbin has not done too bad either, with a 6.87, 6 goals and 6 assists in 31 games is not a bad return in the Premier League. We've got Jared Branthwaite starting to get some appearances and looking half decent. And overall, it's gone pretty well. Anthony Gordon as well, one that we spoke about earlier, has also had a okay season. Not the world's best, but we'll take it for now. Some other academy players that we've promoted into the first team are Charlie Whittaker and Reece Welsh. He's a centre-back who looks like he's got potential. Bear in mind, these star ratings are compared to other players at the club. So the fact that we've got rid of your Allens and your Richarlisons mean that these players then look better in comparison in the squad. So don't be fooled by the fact that they've got 5-star potential. Chances are they're not going to be any good going forward. But we'll take what we can get. We've got another player coming through in Ryan Astley. Did we get anything good in the youth intake? Let's have a look if we go by potential. Okay, this doesn't look too bad. We've got a couple of 5-star potential players in here. Whilst I would have liked a left back and not a right back, Garrett Kinsella looks like he could be a very good player. He's an English right back with some good physicals, decent mentals and decent technicals. I think we might promote him to the first team straight away and just give him as much game time as possible. We've got a player who can play on the wing and up front, a promising striker. Let's have a look at him, Elliot Noble. Again, a player that looks very good right from the off for a 16-year-old. He's Scottish. Hopefully this guy is going to be the future. Tom Weaver as well looks half decent, maybe not as good as the others, but we'll see how we get on with him. But that is a very good first youth intake. I'll definitely take that. We just need a few players in some key positions and then we'll see what we can do. As I mentioned, as players come through in the youth intake, we're going to let some go. So Fabian Delph, his contract was not extended, but the club balance is looking quite nice. And I'm hoping the fact that we're not spending money is going to help the club with their debts. And they do have a lot of it. So hopefully over time, we can secure some of this debt while also staying in the Premier League. I think that will be the main aim with this Everton side because I'm sure they will take an 8th place finish considering where they are in real life. But how we do in Season 2 with some of those new youth intake players, with a few more dev centre players added to the squad, can we keep this up? Are we slowly going to get worse and worse as time goes on? There's only one way to find out, so let's simulate ahead to 2023. Okay, here we are, 2023, and it's another 8th place finish on 55 points. I just needed to check then that I did not load up the same save file, because I believe that is exactly what we got last year. I could be wrong, but that seems pretty familiar. I'm not going to spend too much time on each individual season as we go forward now. Don't want to waste your time too much. But overall, it's been an okay season. We haven't actually qualified for any European competition this year because Leeds are going to be in the Champions League despite finishing 12th. I assume they won the Europa League as well, and that means we cannot get a European spot. That goes to Tottenham, but we have finished ahead of some other big teams in the league, the likes of Leicester, Southampton, Brighton, Villa. I'm sure we'll class that as a win considering the team that we've got. FA Cup, Carabao Cup, nothing of note. The Conference League was very disappointing, getting knocked out in the 4th qualifying round, not really good enough, but we've done pretty well in terms of where we've been predicted to come over the last few years. Instead of being predicted 18th, we're now being predicted 12th, so the club is slightly improving. Starting from the bottom, it's been a better year for Anthony Gordon with a lot of appearances, 6 goals and 7 assists. He's kind of getting towards his potential now, so hopefully he can be a key player or at least replace some players like Gray and Townsend going forward. Garrett Kinsella hasn't played much just yet, but hopefully going forward he will. Charlie Whitaker, Tom Davis still appearing for the club. Jared Branthwaite looks like he's been playing a lot of games this year, so that's good to see. I'm guessing that is the left back spot now that Fabian Delph is gone, but I could be wrong. We've got Townsend and Gray still hitting some big numbers for the side, and it's the main suspects at the top, Holgate, Godfrey, Pickford and Calvert-Lewin, who have been carrying the side really. Nothing too good in our under-23s. I'm hoping there's been someone new in the youth intake. Okay, we've got Elliot Noble, who I think will promote to the first team because he was the one from last year. He's been keeping it up a little bit and now is probably ready to contribute to the first team squad. But who's this guy? Garrett Havey, an attacking midfielder, a 16-year-old Irishman coming through in our youth intake with some amazing attributes already. Maybe he's the one. Maybe he's going to carry our team. Maybe he will allow us to let Dele Alli go, or at least not play Dele Alli as much, because we're having to rely on a lot of players we probably don't want to rely on in the Premier League currently. But it's not been too bad for us this year. Another decent season. We haven't got relegated just yet. And I'm not expecting any fireworks, by the way. Don't expect to get to the 5th season and we've won the Champions League. But the club is slowly improving. But who knows where we're going to go with this. Hopefully things are going well. And on to Season 3 to see how we do there. Okay, Season 3 now. Don't forget to like the video if you are enjoying and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But it's a dodgy one this year, I can't lie. Last year we had 55 points and finished 8th. And I think that was also the case in Season 1. This year we pick up 5 more points, get 60 points on the board. Not a bad season at all, but we only finished 9th. So obviously other teams have done better this year. But overall, it's been a better season in terms of a points total. And that's what we're going to take home from this season. Apparently we've won a friendly cup. Congratulations, Everton. We've won something. But everything else, it's nothing spectacular, not qualified for anything cool. So it does seem like, as we might have predicted, things are getting harder and harder for this Everton side. And we have also slipped down in terms of our media prediction. So clearly our team isn't reckoned to be as good as it used to. We've written off a fair bit of our debt now as well, so our net debt is slowly creeping down. And tactically, if we have a look at who's been playing well again, it's an amazing season for Calvert-Lewin, Mason Holgate, Ben Godfrey. Jared Branthwaite, though, looks like an amazing player, wanted by Leeds and Newcastle. His mentals and physicals are outstanding at 6'5", and his technicals aren't half bad either. I think he's done a great job there, Jared, so that's good to see at least. But overall, seems like it's been a bit of a mediocre season, maybe even a backward step. We've had Garrett Kinsella get on 12 times this year though, so that's good to see. All substitute appearances though, but hopefully now he's ready to make that dive into the first team. So with Season 3, I feel like the less said about it, the better. If we can avoid relegation in this 4th season, I think we probably take that as a decent season, to be honest. Not looking too good for this Everton team. And Season 4, 2025, it's getting worse for our Everton side, finishing in 11th this year, but 59 points, much like the 60 points last season, is actually better than we were doing in them first 2 years. It's just everyone in the Premier League seems to have gotten better. Might be a bit more of a level playing field now, but we still have finished ahead of Tottenham, so we can take that pretty big gap between us and 12th place, and not that big of a gap between us and 7th. but still a pretty significant margin when it comes to points in the Premier League. The Cup's nothing special either. Again, not looking like the best of years, but hopefully we've had a few of those 17, 18-year-olds play a bit more. I did try and force them into the lineup by actually selecting them, so hopefully they have played now. And here's the first time I think we can take something happy from this simulation. Garrett Kinsella, the 19-year-old Wonderkid right back, looks like we've got a real gem, valued at around £60 million now. It's been a very good year for him, some great average match ratings, and we have found the future of that right back spot. So well done there. We've got a good player. Garrett Havey was the other one that we brought through from the youth intake, now classed as a Wonderkid. 3.5-star player already. He looks very good for an 18-year-old, right? Already capped for the Ireland national team. This could be the actual superstar. I mean, Garrett Kinsella was good, but that is a great first season from a youngster. Elliot Noble as well has played a fair few times. The backup striker to Calvert-Lewin isn't scoring much, but he's a half-decent player to have in and around the side. And Jared Branthwaite still improving, still looking like a solid option. Now, while the hope of this rebuild was to slowly transform it into an academy-only rebuild, it just hasn't gone too well. I mean, I don't really know what I expected over 5 years. We obviously weren't going to produce a full squad of world-class players, but I just hoped a few more from the dev centre might step up. It hasn't really been the case, so we're getting some good ones come through, but let's just stick to the idea that this will be a solely homegrown in-nation rebuild and see how this squad can get on in one more year as the players get a little bit better. What you can actually see me doing here before the 5th season is I've selected the full first 11 that I want to start most games. That way we can take out the account that the assistant manager might pick some rubbish players, because if you don't know, I'm not hands-on managing this, I'm just simulating, so I don't know who he's picking in games. So if it was me, this is the 11 I'd want to field in a match, so I'm going to field this as many times as possible throughout the season. When simulating, I'll tick the box that says use this team selection where possible. Hopefully that will improve our results a little bit, but who knows? I would hope for maybe in this last season, if we can make a return to European football, that would be great. But if we can just stay mid-table, maybe get a few more points than 60 this year, that would be a big plus. So let's see how this Everton team can get on in the 5th season. 1 season left. Are we going to have a magical end to this, or is it just going to be a bit of a dud of a year? Let's find out in the 5th season. So I've just loaded up the 5th season, and hold your horses everyone, because it's actually been a very good year, and I don't know what's happened, but it looks like Calvert-Lewin, with 50 goals in all competitions pretty much, has just carried our team to a 4th place finish, only just making it past Manchester United. Liverpool didn't win the league either, so I'm sure Everton fans can take that as some solace. But we've finished in 4th place. We're in the Champions League with Everton, despite being predicted where were we predicted to finish this year? 11th, so it hasn't really gone up. I mean, the odds of us winning the title have gone down a lot, so that's saying something. But to finish 4th is amazing, so well done to this Everton. We won the FA Cup. I was looking at that thinking it said runner-up, but it says winner. We've won the FA Cup as well this year. What a season this has been for Everton, and the semi-final of the Carabao. Imagine if we'd won that as well. That would have been a great year for us. Who has been our standout players? Let's have a look. So it seems really selecting the ideal 11 that I want to play as often as possible has had a big impact. Who's this? Leicester, Tottenham and Watford want Anthony Gordon. He's had a better season this year. Calvert-Lewin, because we've told him to play every game, I assume, he has just absolutely smashed it. That's given us no end of help, so thank you Calvert-Lewin for dragging this team up by the scruff of a neck. We've got Garrett Kinsella, now a 4-star player according to the star ratings, looking like a worldie of a fullback. Fair play to Garrett, he looks awesome. Another youth academy product who's done very well, Jared Branthwaite, now pretty much at full growth, a consistent player for this side and a big part of our team. And Garrett Heavey as well, only 19 years of age, but he is looking like an amazing player here. The growth that he's had, he's came on leaps and bounds. I don't know whether it's just because we've been forced to play him so often, and the same with Kinsella, that they've developed a lot, because I guess they've got no other option but to play Premier League football, and that's only going to help a player. But they've done awesome. The team has done amazingly well. What a season that is. Debt-wise, even though we haven't spent anything for 5 years, the debt's pretty much stayed the same. So someone is probably just pocketing all the money that the club is making. So that's not bad at all for a rebuild, I wouldn't say, considering we had to use all of these players. The fact that we've done it and won an FA Cup as well goes to show. Beating Manchester City along the way, fair play to us. This just goes to show how well this team's done. Elliot Noble, Garrett Havey and Dominic Calvert-Lewin getting the goals. At 20 years of age, he's one of Scotland's best strikers with 6 appearances and 5 goals. So well done to him. He's probably scored more for Scotland than he has for us, it seems, but he's not done too badly at all. But oh my word, something that I think would surpass even an FA Cup win for an Everton fan. They've beat Liverpool 5-0. This is a season where Liverpool were only 1 point off the title as well, right? So does that mean that we've almost single-handedly stopped them from winning the league? You know what? To finish the video, let's have a look at this game because we've got our Youth Academy product scoring twice and getting a 9.7 average match rating. Oh, I'm very excited to see this match. We must have absolutely dominated it. So we're only watching the goals here, so let's have a look. We've got the ball on that left-hand side. It's Tom Davies into Calvert-Lewin. A header over the goalkeeper, that makes it 1-0 to start the rout against Liverpool. Then in the 56th minute, at this point, it's only 1-0. So we obviously scored a lot of late goals. Damari Gray finds Tom Davis, who is again going to get the assist for Garrett Havey. A great finish into the corner. The two academy products lining up and helping each other out for a goal there. What have we got for the third one? We're breaking forward in the 58th minute. Havey takes the ball, plays a brilliant pass through to Calvert-Lewin. What an assist that is. And Calvert-Lewin finishes very well. Potential to be offside there. I assume it went to VAR because that did look close to me, even with the naked eye. We've got Allison playing out the ball from defence to Eric, whoever Eric is that Eric Garcia? Or whoever it is has taken too long, and it's an easy goal for Calvert-Lewin, although he's finished it superbly. And then we finished it off in the 92nd minute or something, right? It's not Garrett Kinsella, the other guy, Havey, from the free kick. What a brilliant free kick as well. 5-0 against Everton at Goodison Park. I don't think many Everton fans could imagine anything quite like that. I say Goodison Park, but we've actually moved stadium now. We're actually at the Bramley Moore Dock Stadium. I know there is something about Everton potentially building a new stadium in real life, right? So maybe this is the one that they're building. But they've done awesome. What a final season to finish it off. We got some silverware. We've stayed in the Premier League the whole time. And it looks like the future of the club could be very bright. We've got Elliot Noble coming through to eventually replace Calvert-Lewin. We just need, a goalkeeper, a left back, centre back, central mid. We've got a lot of work to do here for a Youth Academy only challenge. But overall, for a homegrown rebuild of Everton, that's gone more successfully than I could have imagined. And I think any Everton fan who's currently seen their situation could only dream of days like this. So put me in charge. I'll sort it out for you guys. But with that being said, thank you for watching the video, guys. Don't forget to like it if you did enjoy. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Find my channel, linked in the description, if you want to see a rebuild with transfers. And a big thank you again to our sponsors over at Spitch. I'll see you next time, guys. Have a great day. Goodbye.